Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Digital and Social Media. This is Professor Nick Carbonaro here. We are in week 4 talking about content creation. Hey, everybody. So this is Nick Carbonaro again. You can find me nickcarbonaro.com, on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Professor Nick Carbonaro. Follow me on Twitter at NJCarbonaro. And this week's lecture, this topic that we're pushing through today, is this module essentially is all about content creation. All right, so content creation, creating your content out there. And so we did a little bit of that when we talked about the evolution of social media a couple weeks ago in this course, where we talked about hashtag theory and pushing your content through hashtag theory and doing those assignments of creating tags for certain pictures and stuff. Today we're actually going to talk about content creation. This week we're talking about content creation. So the first video that we're posting here today is how to go viral and what to do when it happens. So some tips and tricks on virality. The second portion of this week is the content creation and creating memes, creating GIFs, and doing those. So we will be discussing that. And the next video that you'll see is all about GIF creation and meme creation. So let's get started on actual virality. So what we see here is how to go viral and what to do when it happens. So the first thing I ask always is what does this mean? What does this mean to go viral, right? What does it mean to go viral? And some of us will think of, video messaging spreading around and sharing from one person to another. But really what it comes down to is virus, right? It comes down to the word virus and going viral and how virus spread, right? How viral infections spread. And so it's spread from one person to another. They have contact with each other. They move from the next person, and it keeps replicating itself because the virus keeps replicating itself. That's what we're talking about with viral content in social media, is that it's constantly getting spread around. It's constantly going viral. It's constantly going from one place to one place. And so there is no definitive response on what is viralness, like what is the tweet amount reshared to become viral. There is no on Instagram, like when a post becomes viral. It's all relative to the person out there. It's all relative to how fast it gets spread. Anything that's getting fastly spread is viralness, right? Is virality. And so when we talk about viral, we're going to be talking about certain ways that you can get your content out there. And this is where the real, the meat and potatoes of the class really start, because from here on out, we're branding, we're content creating. The first few weeks were all about the background of social media and understanding what social media is all about. Now we're actually getting into the content creation portion. And so when we look at viralness, we want to see how you can use this as a business to propel your business out there, right? And how to get noticed out there. And so when we talk about this, what we'll learn in this video today is, number one, you can't predict virality, right? This you can't predict it. You can't predict virality. We're going to talking about how to handle your virality. So when it actually happens, what do you do with that? We're going to talk about speaking to your target market. So who is your target and how you can speak to them to make sure that things go viral. 4, we're going to talk about don't limiting your success. We're going to talk about virality as a product of consistency. And then we're going to sell benefits, not features of a product. So if we look here and say, okay, you can't predict virality. The first thing that you could say is this: you can't chase virality, meaning you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. Probably the best way to go viral is to have a person with a lot of users or a lot of followers following them to share your stuff out there. So if I have a friend that has 100 followers and they share my stuff, that message is only getting potentially to 100 different people. But if I have a friend that has 30,000 followers, or I get a celebrity or a musician that has 30,000 followers to like my tweet, well then when they retweet that or they like that, their followers see that, and their followers can now comment on that, share on it, and they can share it. So having 30,000 people see it compared to 100 people see it, you can see how something could go viral. So you can't really predict it unless you're the person there and you know exactly who it is, where they're at, when they're on their phone or their electronic device, and they actually see your stuff. you can't really predict it. So you can't predict virality, right? You can't chase it. But what you can do is you can look at other content out there that people have done and try to replicate it, right? Facebook wasn't the first thing that came along before that, right? I mean, we had MySpace, you had AOL Instant Messenger, you had Friendster, you had 6 Degrees, all the things that we talked about earlier in the semester with the evolution of social media and the history of social media. You look at other content and you find common elements and you apply those to your elements, right? Then you incorporate your own material. And so one way that you could try to incorporate your own material is, it's based off of this book right here, Steps, the Steps Framework by Jonah Berger. And Jonah Berger outlines 6 different ways that you can make something go viral. So the first one is social currency. Social currency. So one of the things that you could see with social currency is regarding being part of some type of exclusive club out there, right? Being part of some type of exclusive club. So if you're a part of for instance, LeVar Ball with the Big Baller brand on social media. LeVar Ball, his son Lonzo Ball is the point guard for the Lakers. He has this clothing line out there and his own brand out there called Big Baller Brand, BBB, Big Baller Brand. And he sells Lonzo Ball shoes for like $650, right? Now, nobody can afford that, especially if you're trying to buy a basketball shoe. Nothing's worth that much. However, he's creating this exclusive club. He's creating this social currency to where his stuff is now front page, front article on ESPN.com or on ESPN Sports Center at nighttime. He's creating this exclusive club. Think about your favorite promotional items from a company you follow on a social media account. Let's say, for instance, I like a company called Frosted Cupcakes out in 2nd Street in Long Beach. My wife loves them. I love them. And so sometimes, like on a Friday night at the end of the month, they'll say, hey, buy one, get one on certain types of things. But you have to come in between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. today before closing. And so it gives you like a little, wait, I'm part of the exclusive club. You know, other people walking in there, they may not have ever seen that ad out there and they may not get that discount. But if you tell them the secret code, or if you give them a certain, if you show them the ad, you get the buy one, get one, right? And so it brings this exclusive club. You're bringing some social currency, some social value to society. Next is triggers, right? We have triggers right over here. And triggers are, what we're meaning is this. If I tell you Geico Insurance, you probably thought of the gecko. If I told you Dos Equis Beer Company, you probably thought of the most interesting man in the world. Those are triggers, right? Those are marketing terms, but we still use them on social media. So if you're able to create some type of trigger for people to remember your product, right? Somebody to remember your product and create that viralness, then they'll be able to go out and share that message a little bit more because it's catchy, it's eye-popping, it's something there. It's like when you see a black and white photo and all you see is like one little red dot or one red pair of high heels in that black and white photo. It's a trigger. It makes you think, okay, when I see that, I remember that. And so there's certain things on social media where if you see certain things, you keep going forward, right? That's why meme creation is so important. That's why GIF creation is so important, which we're going to be talking about later in this module, is because those are the types of things that can create triggers, right? Those are the type of things that can create triggers and get people to notice your product. Next, we have emotion. Everybody loves an emotional story. Everybody wants to impact themselves and consume themselves with an emotional story. So, for instance, when you have like the Hurricane Harvey or the Las Vegas shooting that happened on October 1st last week, October 1st, yeah. Those types of things are emotional things, so they'll get shared more. So if somebody needs help or you can't find your family or pass this along, Amber Alerts, all that type of stuff, they're emotional pleas. Those get viralness, right? But not only sadness, but happy emotions, angry emotions, frustration emotions. Those things will get passed along from person to person. Next, we have public. You have to make it as public as you possibly can. And we actually learned one way to make stuff public already in our second module of this course, which was through hashtags, right? Hashtags make things more public, more available. Tagging people makes it more public, more available. Putting a geotag on it, geolocation, makes it more public, more available. Anything to get it noticed more will get you more public, more available. Having a public account compared to a private account. Creating practical value. Having those top 10 lists that are out there, right? Those are things that go through practical value. And then lastly, creating stories, right? you have a story about something, people always want to be involved in a good story. So when we look at that, that's what we're talking about when we say we can't predict it. Bless you. Excuse me. Sorry, not bless you. Excuse me. How to handle it. So the first thing we see here is stable platform, right? You have to have a stable platform, meaning that's what we're doing in this class. By the end of the class, you get your own website. You get your own personally branded website. And we use Wix because it's a stable platform, right? It's not another domain and you're connecting another domain with it. It's through Wix. So we say Wix is a stable platform, so therefore we're going to use Wix. Hosting an email service to make sure that when your thing finally does go viral, that when people try to contact you, they can contact you. A lot of the times, because there's so many people trying to look up your thing because your product went viral, your email box is full, the hosting site is down, the email can't connect. Well, those things don't help you and you end up losing value. A landing page. When you're on social media and you click on a link to go somewhere and it doesn't take you to the right place, you get probably pretty angry. And I would too, because you're expecting to go to a place maybe to buy a certain product, and here, if I land on this page, I could buy that certain product and it's not there. Have to fix your landing pages. Make sure your landing pages are connecting to you. A clear call to action. Make sure people know, right? Make sure people know what you want them to do. It's not just enough to say, hey, please go over here. No, tell them, I want you to click on this. Click here for the best offer. Click here to register. Click here to take this poll, right? Tell them what to do. Make it easy on the customer because they're already there. They're looking at your viral action. They're wanting to look out more, so make it easy for them. But it all comes down to prep work, right? Prep work, prep work, prep work. Making sure everything is set up prior, making sure that the work is put in, the content is created properly, all that type of stuff is prep work. And so let's see what else we can do. We can also speak to your target, right? Speak to your target. The follow-up is 100 times more important than the viral post. Making sure that people, once you reach them, you can actually, once they reach you out, once they shared your stuff, that you actually follow up, right? Your next post is more important than your first post because people are going to wonder, hey, was this person just a one-hit wonder, or was this some content that I actually want to know about? You're deliberate in the first post, and then to write your follow-up, right? Maybe you do something deliberately in the first post to get people's attention using those steps that we just talked about in the last slide, or a couple slides ago, and then pushing them to the right direction where you want to go. Number 2 is speak at their level, in their terms, how they understand it. As you educate, you can improve, right? That's why a lot of people don't understand some of the best communicators out there speak at like a 4th or 5th grade level, not because they're trying to insult their clients and insult their target market. It's because there's a business phrase called KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid, because a lot of the times we overspeak. We live in our own little bubbles and we live in our own little cultures that we have where, for instance, if I'm going to when I worked at Costco and I took my wife to our Costco holiday parties and I started talking shop with some of my employees there, she was out of the loop. She kind of just sat there and didn't really know what was going on because I wasn't speaking at their level, right? I wasn't speaking at my person's level. And I brought my wife and I want her to be part of the conversation and to be part of that. And we've all had those experiences where somebody brings you to a party or brings you out with friends and they're speaking not poorly, but they're speaking at a different level. They're not at your level, right? Whether it's language wise, whether it's culture wise, whether it's work wise, whether it's language speaking level, like PhD level versus like 3rd grade level. There's different levels out there. Speak to your target so that they can understand what you want. So like when I incorporate my wife into the conversation, we're relating stuff to her work. We're talking about personal instances more than work instances so that we're speaking at the level so that everybody's engaged. You don't want to alienate part of your target market. And so as you educate them, you can improve. So as we started talking about in the conversation, I'd inform my wife, oh, that means this, or this means that. And then all of a sudden she's able to understand the conversation so that by, a couple Christmas parties later, everybody's, we can all talk and she understands what's going on. And then this vice versa. When I went to her holiday parties for her school, because she's a teacher, and I went to her place and they're talking, and I don't know all the terminology for teachers and elementary school teachers and stuff. However, listening to their conversations and picking on what they said and my wife breaking it down for me in my terms and my level, I was able to understand it more. Well, the same thing happens on social media. You have to speak at their level and it won't be your best content. ask any musician what their favorite song is, and I guarantee you it's usually not the song that you like or the one that they do the encore for. They have a better song that they like because it's more emotional, but it doesn't resonate with the audience more, so they don't sing it as much, right? It won't be your best content. It's best suited for your channel. Look for stuff that's best suited for your channel, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that type of stuff. Give people what they want right now so you can give them what they need later, right? And that's so true. Give them what they want now so that you can educate them. You can grab them in there. You can have your target market and then build their content up later. Don't limit success. So if you're a writer, you're writing stuff on your own original website. If you're a videographer, you're putting videos on your own website. Why? Because you want to have it on your stuff. Don't republish it out there. Don't duplicate it out there. Don't always fresh, no reruns. That's what I mean. But republish on several websites, right? So you may be able to republish it on like a YouTube, Vimeo, other video playing devices, putting it out there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, wherever it's at, right? You're republishing it on different websites. If you're video, if you're an art, if you write, if you're a blogger, right? Maybe you have your own personal website blog, but then you're kind of publishing it to different websites, Medium, Patreon. You have a bunch of different outlets that you actually give your work to. However, don't syndicate to the point where people are using your name and you're just kind of making money off it, unless that's your goal, right? If your goal is that, but in the very beginning, you want to grow 100% organic, meaning no paid people to follow you, because once you stop paying them, their loyalty runs out, right? You want to create a loyal fan base, original content, because nobody wants to go to somebody else. If I could go to somebody else to get it, why would I go to you? Don't pay for traffic. Don't pay for advertisements yet, right? When you become a bigger company, you may want to push advertisements, but I can tell you from certain companies out there, I have a friend that's a marketing director of marketing at a surf company here in Southern California, and they used promotional ads on Instagram. They used ads, and it didn't work. They didn't have the return on investment, right? The ROI. They didn't have the return on investment on there. So they scrapped that and they used more influencers, meaning they found athletes to wear their clothes and then to tag them in the photos. And that actually sold more merchandise than trying to push an ad through. Don't make the man rich off of syndicating your content, and always fresh, no reruns. Don't self-sabotage with limitations. Hustle to get that content out there. A lot of people, they just kind of stop because it's hard and they just don't do anything. No, keep going with it. Keep creating original content if your goal is to go viral, to lead to something else, right? Your goal should never be just to go viral. That should never be your end goal. Your goal should be to go do something else with that virality. Virality is a product of consistency. So this one was that Salt Bae about 6 months ago. Salt Bae was a big viral sensation. The chef in Turkey, he has the little picture, and you can see it right there on the screen right here. He sprinkles stuff on top of his food and stuff like that, and it got huge notoriety. It was a huge success. Then all of a sudden, well, what did he do? He's been doing that for like 4 or 5 years, right? And it wasn't really that following. And then all of a sudden something hit it big. A celebrity saw it. They went to the restaurant and then it became viral, right? You still have influencers out there. And so it is harder to go from 0 to 100 than it is to go from 100 to 1,000 due to the exponential growth rate. Meaning this, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. So growing exponentially, 2 to the power of 4, 2 to the power of 6, 2 to the power of 8, it grows so much faster because of that rule. When you only have 5 followers, well, you're only sharing your information to 5 people. And those 5 people may only have a certain network of people. However, if you have 100, those 100 are now sharing it. Each one of those people have followers as well. And so it grows exponentially because 100 people are sharing it rather than just 5. Be consistent. Everybody starts at 0. You have to. You start with nothing and then you build up content. Demotivation is the killer to success. So a lot of people that don't do it, that don't become viral and don't have success online, it's because they gave up, right? You never know when it's going to happen. And it could be for years, right? And that's what's frustrating about it, because we want instant gratification, but it could be for years. Better have a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without, right? Better have something rather than nothing. No substitute for putting in the work. Sell your benefits, not your features. So this chart right here shows about how a guy's article went up. It had 5.3 million views, 2.2 million reads, read ratio, almost 50% of the people read it, 34,000 people recommended it, And then you could see right here, it said 13 things you should give up if you want to be successful, right? Well, that underlined word of successful, it wasn't always successful. He had it as organized, and it didn't do well, right? I believe it was organized, the term, and it didn't do well. And people were like, wow, like that thing didn't really go very well. And so you look at that and you say to yourself, wow, okay, what word should I choose? So he went on Google and typed in words and saw which one had the most search results and did a little advertising and said, you know what? Organized is a function, right? Organized is a function. The benefit is because you're organized, you can become more successful. So he put successful in there, and then all of a sudden that article skyrocketed, right? That article skyrocketed out there. And so we say copywriting is rule number one, rule numero uno, meaning this: the words that you phrase are important, right? And so that's why I say social media is not a new concept. It's just a new tool of delivering that concept. Still the same marketing principles apply if you're trying to go viral. Still the same marketing principles apply. And lastly, always be closing. You can't create viral content. You don't know where it's happening. You don't know where it's coming from. However, you can do things to get there, right? You can bust your butt with the possibility of going viral. You can use those steps, the steps by Jonah Berger, to go viral. When it does go viral, you can capitalize on it. Virality is a tool, not a goal, right? It shouldn't be the goal to go viral. You can have so many views, but who cares unless that translates to sales, right? Unless that translates to sales. The goal is to make more, and I put the money sign, but that really means value. The goal is to make more value. The goal is to make more money if you're a business. Maybe it's to increase your profits, but it could be to increase your brand awareness, which increases your money. It could be to push a poll for your company. Doritos does great at advertising polling and stuff like that for new chips and getting customer feedback and stuff. It could be for delivering a new product launch, right, and getting it out there. It could be for a charity event. It could be for a GoFundMe account. It could be for something that's important to the business objectives, right? So it's not just all about money, but in the end, it does turn into money, right? It does turn into value. It does turn into money. So with that, what we're going to be doing is this module is all about content creation. This module is all about content creation. And so we just talked about how to go viral. The next video that you'll watch and the next video that I'm going to produce is all about what is that content and what are we going to be doing to make it go viral. So on top of watching this video, please read the articles that I have posted on our Canvas site so that you're able to get a better understanding of virality, to get a better understanding of GIF making, to get a better understanding of meme making, and so on and so forth. So with that, have a good one, and I will see you next time.